Welcome back. I'm jumping straight into it today. So last week we looked at the YouTube API to get some data from it on my metrics dashboard. Today I'm gonna, because I did something else last week that I want to continue in my off time, we're gonna continue with some Tailwind CSS. So to show you where we're at, this is what we did last week. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the review today. We built this, is the server not running? There we go. We built this metrics dashboard and I added the YouTube numbers on here, how many videos I have uploaded, subscribers and YouTube views. Twitch numbers, everything that was on there already. Down here we see that I'm live to 0 viewers for now. This is gonna change in a bit. And then I shifted gears and I worked on a CV, on a consultant profile type document that I'm gonna share with potential clients. And this is what it looks like. This is what I came up with. I want to give them an overview over the work I have done and the work that I can do for them. It has a few elements on it. It has some information about who I am, so the titles that I have, some metadata like phone numbers and address and profiles on the web, some skills, some technologies I am familiar with. Let's zoom in here. These are all these little tags with an icon and a description. We have a profile, we have a text about what I did, some projects, and some projects that I can't really share much information on, but I'm giving you an insight into kind of what area I worked in and what I did also with these little tags, a bit smaller than over here. Some projects you can look at today that are fully public, and some writing that I've done where I'll link you to this one article that I wrote for Smashing Magazine last year. And I can export this from Sketch as a PDF, which is super nice and convenient, but it's a shame for that to not appear on my website. So what I'm going to do today is I will take this document and I'll move it over to code and I will add it to my website as /CV as a separate page. And I want to make it look as close to this as I can using, again, Next.js and Tailwind CSS. I am going to jump straight into it. So I imagine that I will go to a page /CV on my portfolio and then a CV appears. That doesn't exist, so we get a 404. This itself wasn't that. What else is running? Why you not? It's not too much. Okay, yeah, so /CV doesn't work, that page doesn't exist. So in the code, this is a Next.js project, we have to add a file under pages and CV, going to make that a TSX file, so a TypeScript file. I'm not sure how much typing I'll do because this will be mostly static. I'm not importing anything from anywhere else here yet. Might do that later, might pull in something from other pages, some other APIs, but I don't think that'll be necessary here. So we need to export default function and the page itself we can call, zoom in a bit, we can call CV, zoom in a bit more, yep, there we go. And this can return something, div something for now. Won't look like much yet. Let me put the browser on the left, there we go. And you over here, please, thank you. Come on. I'm eyeing the studio, the Mac Studios that they released a few weeks ago, because I think this MacBook is on its later legs. Reloading the /CV now shows me something. I have a frame around my site where I have the navigation and the footer. Those I always want to show, and I call that a scaffold. This is part of the scaffold component. Import scaffold from components. Scaffold, and if I wrap everything in scaffold and scaffold, I think I got that word from the Rails API. You can't find scaffold. Is it not called scaffold in this? Is it called, let's look at open. It might still be called layout in here. Well, I call it scaffold in all my other projects, not this personal one yet. So we need to import layout from layout instead. Must have picked up that scaffold term later. And now we have everything. We have the navigation here. We have, hi, one Twitch viewer. I have one Twitch viewer live right now. This updates on every page load. And we have something here. Now we can start thinking about what needs to go on it. And where do we start? So I will take this piece, and we're going to take it from probably top to bottom first. And I have named the layers in Sketch, and they will somewhat relate to what we are going to call them in code. This is a header, so we're going to use a header tag. Has something about my person and a photo. Let's start there. Let's add inside of my scaffold a header. And here we have so this page will have an h1. Okay, yeah. Let's give this an h1. I'm not, the name CV probably is not going to stay, but it will be there for now. So this page has an h1 of CV, so the h2 would be my name. And h2, and then the h3, I think I can make the things that I do the h3 without having to type it out. IT consultant, web developer, Scrum Master, product owner, and close the h3. There we go, it reloads and we're done. Okay, this says CV. I also have a prose component, which is a wrapper for the Tailwind CSS prose from the typography plugin. I have in components prose. I can't wrap everything in it because it applies some styles to the paragraphs and the headings and such. I only want to wrap it around the headline CV here. Hey, cool. Hi, Michelle. Cool that you made it. I just got started just a few minutes ago. I have now, everything is going to stay pink for a bit. Let's add also here my image. So I have an image tag, and source is, I have it in public. I think it's just called DOM JPEG. Is that what I call the file? Yeah, that is me. That is the current picture. I'm going to replace that with a newer one where you can see my eyes that I haven't had on there for ever. But this isn't the layout that we want. I don't want this to be top to bottom, and I don't want this to be giant. So let's start by going class name, and the height of this image, this is what the image is supposed to be later, is 60 pixels. And because the base unit in Tailwind is 4 pixels, that means we need something close to 15. I'm not sure if Tailwind has a 15. Let's check. I think they have 14 and 16. Tailwind CSS. Yeah, no worries. This is how far we got so far. But the clock's ticking. I have another 80 minutes to get this done. Height. How did I jump straight to height? I want height 15. I don't have height 15. I have h 14 and 16. So either I go a little bit smaller to 56 pixels, or I go up to 64 pixels. I don't care either way. So let's go h16 and w16. That would make this smaller. And then I also want to have this rounded. And because I want to have this be a circle, I have to use rounded full. And we are rounded. Cool. Now, because I want to have the image on one side and the text on the other, I need to have these in a... No, I don't think I need to do that. I need to have the text in a shared wrapper. And then, so I have now an image, and the image also has a sibling, which is a div. If I now give you a class name, the header class name of flex, you'll appear next to each other. And that is, there's something that was old that I can remove. Let's style it text first. So this is 20 pixels high, and I can see up here, because I have set that up in Sketch before, that would be text XL in Tailwind. Class name is text XL, and the color I also have up here. That is, okay, I don't have it selected here, but 111827 is, if I select it down here, that is grain 900, and it's semi-bold. So font semi-bold, and the color I said was gray 900. Text gray 900. And similarly over here where it says IT consultant, web developer, scrum master, product owner, that is the small text, text SM on regular width, and hovering over here we see that as 500, so gray 500, text SM, text gray 500. Class name, text SM, and text gray 500. That isn't fully it yet, because there's also some space between them. I have those grouped in, this is kind of the div here, the person here, and space between them is 10. So 10 is, because the base unit in Tailwind is 4, that would mean we have space x 2.5 is 10 pixels. I also have between these two, I have no space. Okay, there is no space between them. One thing will be off, and we can see that here nicely if we go class name bg red 500. It's not aligned properly. I want the text to be centered with the image, so on the flex container, which is the header, we go items center. Cool. That is enough for that part. Let's continue with, and I forgot to redact it, but it's going to be public anyways. So this is my work contact, this is my work phone, this is where my office is, which is not where I'm at right now. Twist there. I have this block of meta information, and maybe an aside tag would be fair here, because it is not essential to the rest, but it's kind of related. So we will use next to the header an aside tag, and let's style that already. Let's put something in here again. Class name is, now what is this? This is rounded, it has a border radius of 8. What is that in Tailwind classes? Give me border radius. And 8 they have as rounded LG. Rounded LG. And I also have a background color of F3, F4, F6. Which one is that? Yeah, that is gray 100, which is BG gray 100. And I have on top of that, what's the distance? If this has an X position of 95, and this has an X position of 115, that is 20. And if that has Y position of 181, and you're 200, that's 20 as well. So the inner padding of this is 20 pixels. 20 divided by 4, because 4 is the base Tailwind unit, is 5. So on each side we have 20 pixels of padding, which is P5. Let's check it out. This will now span the entire width of the page, which is fine. That, and we're going to add the space between those later. I am going to ignore the icons for now. Let's add the text first. So these will be list items, and the list is kind of sorted. The order is not fully relevant. It's not important that the email address comes before the website. So I am going to use an unordered list. And in there, the first item will be my email address. Unordered. And I think I could make the entire thing an unordered list then. Would that be fair if that wasn't in an aside tag? Maybe. Something to revisit in a bit. So if we styled this first, and do I want this to be clickable? Kind of yes. So it needs to be a link tag, which is a mail to link to dom@fnteach.com. You'll notice that this is not my personal website, which is domhabersack.com. This is my work email. And then we have another list item and that is the website, which is also fnteach.com, https:// and I'm not going to, do I want to write the HTTP? No, I don't. And at the phone number here also, I could make that clickable. Yeah, let's do that. I think it's tel : and then take out the spaces here and put the number here. This for now, ignoring the social profiles and ignoring the, oh, we can do the address as well. Sure, why not? The list item. And this is the text with a line break in the middle. That is fair. Bernauer Straße. Close the LI. There's nothing to link here, so there's no A tag in this, of course. Now, all of these need to be styled, and because it's Tailwind, we have to style them all individually. They will have an icon in them as well. So I need to have a placeholder inside of the LI. Div class name. Just a placeholder for now. I want this to be 24 by 24 pixels. This is a component itself that I have over here. Go out. Okay, it won't. That I have over here, a link. So looking at these dimensions, 24 by 24 pixels, which is 6 Tailwind units. And giving you BG pink 500 for now. And I did not close the div. Yeah, that is invalid markup. Reload. These are not on the same line. So class name flex item. And there's some space between those as well. And they have 6 pixels between them. So space x6 is 1.5 in Tailwind units. Now I expect this to be next to the phone number. I now want to style the text. I could put the styles on the A tag, but because some elements will not be linked, in particular the address will not be linked, I would have to put them on a span there. Might as well put them on a span everywhere. So each link item, the text in here also gets put into, that's a bit wasteful. No, that's wasteful. I might do that just for the span. So here the class name is, and what is the style of this link? It is text SM and with a color of, and that is 700. Text SM, text gray 700. Text gray 700 and text SM. Should be a bit smaller now. And because it is, we can see it here, it's kind of, if we zoom in, not centered vertically. We also have to go item center on the flex container, which is the list item. Items center. That should do it. And we have to repeat this for all the other ones as well. So copying this placeholder icon in here and in here and in here. And then the styles I want to apply to all the other links as well. This is lacking focus styles. This is lacking visited styles, which is something that I would have to add later. And just put them here because you will go inside of a span. Or would this be a paragraph? I think a span is fair. And close the span. What does that give us? I forgot to copy the styles to the other list items as well. So what we see, it's now one big pink rectangle. There's two pink squares next to each other. I need to copy you here. And here. And here. Now I want you all to appear next to each other. And the address isn't aligned perfectly. Worrying about that later when I have items in it. So this is going to stay with the pink rectangles for now. because I want to get to the other elements as well. There is, however, some space between each of these entries, which is 8 pixels between these, 8 pixels between these. So that is a space of the on the UL of class name space y of 2. There we go. And now I really don't see a need for the aside anymore. It doesn't make a huge difference semantically. So I can put these styles on the UL itself. And oh, that was not my intention. All of this back out a level and get rid of the aside. Won't change anything because this is now a UL. Cool, let's do skills. No, let's not do skills. Before we do skills. So this is a 2-column layout. And it actually has 6 columns in the background. No, I think 3. It's fair to say it's 3. So I have this divided. And the first column takes up 2 out of my 6 columns total. And then this takes up 4 out of 6 columns total. Down here where I have public projects, each one takes up 2. So going by, we could do this with grid, or we could do it with Flexbox. I am not picky towards either. So let's start with Flexbox and see if that gets us where we want to. Spoiler alert, assume that it won't. But for now, everything we have over here, that will be the left column. Everything else will be the right column. So I need to put all of this inside of a div. And then here we'll have experience and everything else. And this outer component will be a class name flex. This will have some styles. Let's make you bg red 500, just so we see what the difference is, and class name yellow 500. It doesn't need to be pleasant to the eyes. We'll do that later. And bg yellow, of course. I think I did that wrong with the red as well, didn't I? No, bg red 500. This now isn't ideal because I have this a lot narrower, and this takes up the full width. So if we give this what am I doing? If we give this outer flex container a background color as well, let's go bg pink 500, we see that it takes up the full width, but this doesn't. And we want to split it as well. So let's look at flex spaces. I think grid might be better for this. What if we have flex gap though? Okay, so flex spaces. Ideally, I want to have a percentage of 1/3 and 2/3. And it has that, but it's not entirely what I intended, because I want to have some space between them as well. So let's do it this way. Let's take this and let's have it, it's not called flex grow anymore, it's just called grow now, right? Flex grow was renamed, I think, in Tailwind 3 to now be grow. There's 2 settings, there's grow and there's grow 0. So either you grow or you don't. Which would mean that this takes up all the space that is left. If there's more space than the Tailwind children need, then you can have it. And for now, I am going to, and I think that makes sense to keep also, I will hard code this here to be of a certain width. Let's say the left column always is WMD, which might not be a class. Let's see what they have on, no, I think it's max width. What I have on max width would be, yeah, let's do max W XS. That's a candidate for change later because that is not the exact dimensions that I had in mind, but it is narrower. Now I want to have some space between them as well, space X, and the space between these two, like the width of each of these gaps here. Let's compare it here. That is 60, and I think we had it before. 60 divided by 4 is 15 Tailwind units. We learned that Tailwind does not have that. So we are going to make it the same height as the image here. And that would mean we go space x16. And we have this, it's difficult to see, and it was a terrible color choice. Anyways, we have this pink gap between the columns now. If we remove the pink, we see there is, it's not 60, it's 56 now, but I can live with 4 pixels difference. And that gives me this column on the right side now. And remove the red and remove the yellow. There we go. And what else do we want on here? Over here on this right side, I want to have an entry that says profile and text for about me. So that we will repeat a bunch. I'll do that manually. I could turn it into components. It kind of makes sense to put that into components because I have the same pattern on this once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So this would be a CV header. Would that be a CV header? Let's call it a CV header and let's create a new component. Touch components, CV header TSX. I need to close this. Back to the CV page. And the CV header CW, no, CV header. Export default function, the CV header. What does my CV header receive? It receives a title and it receives children. I could pass just one. I could pass just properties. So we are going to go with title and description here, not children. And typing this would be, let's put them in alphabetical order. Description is a string and title also is a string. This doesn't account for the fact that there could potentially be more paragraphs. Right now, the only thing I have is one title and then one long sentence. Styling this also is a component over here, and it will be a, so what do we have? We have a div and a closing div, and in here we have an h3, so this is an h1, h1, h2, h3, so you'd be an h4 with the title, closing the h4, and then we have a paragraph tag with the description. Yeah, no, that was right. Close the paragraph tag. Over on the CV, import CV header from my components. CV header. And where does that go? One goes here. We have a CV header with a title of profile and a description of. No need to type that out when I can copy and paste it. I want to have this text. And I want another one of those. CV header. Down here where it says experience. So that title is experience. And the description is this. And then we will have public projects, meaning this is another CV header, title, public projects, not an ideal name, is it? Description, and here, and I think one last one with the writing, yeah, okay. One last CV header with a title of writing, and this description. Will this look any good? No, it won't, because everything's still pink. Now we can style this header. Let's look at what it is styled as. This is here. This is text LG, semi-bold, and blue. Okay. 2563B. So I'm guessing that's not it. 256, there we go. That is in blue 600. Yeah. So that is class name text blue 600. Font size was semi-bold. And the text was, I already forgot, was that LG? Text LG. Put you on a separate line. That looks a bit neater. Oh, and it's all uppercase. So, uppercase. And that is the title. Is semi-bold, was that right? It looks kind of off on the web, but that is okay. The text itself is text base, which means I don't have to adjust it, but just in case something changes to those styles, I'm going to go text base here. And anything else, I think just the color, which is text gray 700. And text gray 700. There is one more detail that we need to look at, and that is the space between these two, which is 4 pixels. I could add a bottom margin to the H4, or I could make you a flex, no, not even flex container. I can go space Y, 1 unit on the container. So the space between like this text and the next title hasn't changed yet, but inside of the header where it says profile here, and we see the sizing doesn't work at all. We need to fix that. And we're going to fix that by going just like this. Oh, okay. I need to change that. Which was the max width. Let's go MD. Make this a bit wider because the text ideally. This text, this header. Oh, does that shrink? Oh, it shrinks. It shrinks. Can I set you to a fixed width just with WMD? Width. No, so I have min, max, fit, full, percentages, auto. Okay, what I could do is go 96. What is the width of this on the page? That column is 300 pixels wide, and 300 divided, oh, it has pixels here. But we could go W80. Let's go W80. That is, again, close enough for what I was aiming for, but now it shrinks. I assume because we have grow 0, we also would have shrink 0. You do not shrink. You are the width that I give you. 80 is too much. Let's try 72 for the width of this column on the left. Yeah, decent. We will fix that later when we look at responsive designs as well, responsive layouts as well. What else do we have? So, an easy one is space. All of these, I have a few blocks. I have the profile, experience, public projects, and writing blocks. And we see here they have the same space between them, and that is 40 pixels in the vertical. So if I take all of the CV headers here that are grouped in this column on the right, in this div, and I go space wide 10, that would give me 40 pixels between all of them. That already is a bit nice. I let it breathe a little. But while the profile is done, there's nothing else I want to add to the profile. There is a bunch of projects and public projects and writing down here. And they are... okay, let's look at them. They are similar. They have... why can't I zoom in with you? They have a title. Then they have a meta information, like a detail, usually a link or a row that I did, or a link. And then description. Sometimes they have an icon or a logo next to the title. So they are all kind of, and these have these tags as well. They are kind of similar, which means those are prime candidates for another component. Of course, I have that prepared in Sketch. That's how I created it anyways, because duplicating that all over the place, that would have been terrible. So I call this an item here. Let us create a new CV item. touch components CV item, another TypeScript component, back to the CV. I think the header we're done with. There's nothing else I need to change about the header. Let's look at the CV item. Okay, but that's half an hour in. This is where we're at already. That's not bad. Export default function. Because this is repeated, it makes sense to put this into its own component. CV item. Don't know what properties I need to pass you yet. Prepare typing you and return. It makes sense. It's fair to return this as an article because this is an article that you could share, that you could move somewhere else. What does each article have? It has a title. URL is no longer accurate. Oh, that could be difficult. We'll see in a bit. And we have a description. So let's start with an icon. Let's start with title, detail, and description. Let's call it detail. Description, detail, and title. No, not detail. Detail. DST detail. So you have, and if this is H1, H2, H3, H4, this would logically be an H5 where we can put the title, close the H5. Then I have the detail. Let's make it a paragraph for the detail. And then the description. Wait, the description can be, that is different from before. The description can be multiple paragraphs. Like here and here and here in these projects that I did. So we have to pass those as children. And that means we can put the children in a div here. Those will be, React nodes will be paragraphs. And children, yeah. Children. Close the div. Now let's put something here so we see what we're working with. That is in the experience. Yep. A CV item has a title. And did I call it description? I call it description, right? Oh, so. Well, okay, that's fine. That is fine if nothing's playing. That scared me. Where was I? Not here, not here. And I have forgotten where. This is where I'm at. Okay, this is the item children, description, and title. Exactly. So the description is this description. And no, close the CV item. And let me take this first one. So this is the first title. And this is the first description, 7 months, front-end developer, UX designer. I could, of course, split this up. Here I talk about how long the project was and what role I did. I could pass those in as 2 separate elements so that I could style them differently. I could move them around separately, but why really? Because I want them to be in the same line. I don't want to make this more complicated than it needs to be. So copying it in here just as it is, 7 months, this bullet, front-end developer, UX designer, and then the text goes in here as paragraphs, and that's going to be 2 paragraphs. One ending here and another paragraph here. Close this paragraph, and let's see what that gives us. That gives us an error message because we forgot to import the CV item. Import CV item from components CV item. Now imagine I didn't have to, I wouldn't narrate this while I'm doing it. Can't find variable detail. Why detail? Because I called it detail here instead of description. Description isn't really the right word for what this will be in a bit, but that doesn't matter. And there we go. We have something here. So a few things about this are wrong. Let's start with the styling of this. We need to go back to this component up here. Bam, bam, bam. The title is text base, it is bold, and it is text gray 900. So I already forgot everything that I just said. Class name, font bold, text gray 900, and it was text base. Short-term memory is not the greatest. And we have a description, which is called a URL here. Also text base, regular, and gray. This is it 600? 500 again. Okay, same as we have with the title. So text base, text gray, 500 for the description. Class name, text base, and text gray, 500. And this div here with these paragraphs. Oh no, I can look at here. Also text base and text gray 700, regular weight. UR class name, text gray 700. I don't need to specify text base, but I might as well. And the space between the paragraphs, it doesn't show up here. And I have it set to 8 here, which is space Y8 in Tailwind. Going alphabetically, space Y8. No, oh wait, of course, 8 pixels, not 8 units, and 8 pixels is 2 Tailwind units. There we go, almost. Because as with all details, if we look at this, there is a space between each of these as well. I could add it as a bottom margin for each of these, for the title and the URL. Or again, I like using the space class because that means I need to add it only once. And the space class goes on this container. Class name, space Y. It was 4 pixels, so 1 unit. 1 Tailwind unit. Where does the icon go? The icon needs to be in here as well. The icon isn't part of the title, so it needs. We have to use a placeholder for this as well. Class name before we find out how to add them as SVGs. 24 by 24 pixels. So that again is H6 W6 because I like to make everything pink. BG pink 500, which is my signal color for hey, this isn't done yet, what are you doing? And it needs to be on the same, next to this title. So the title and the icon go into one container because I want to have them next to each other. I know that you need to be a class name flex, and there is going to be some space between you as well. Again, 4 pixels of space x1 as well. The position of this will be slightly off. Okay, so the icon shrinks in this flex container. How about the icon don't shrink? Shrink 0. And this won't actually have an icon. This will not have an icon. Others will, this job won't. So the icon I will need to pass as a property anyways. And if I have an icon, then I can render it. If I have an icon, then I can render this. If I don't have an icon, I will render nothing. Now this will disappear because I'm not passing an icon to it. Cool. And to see how it works with other positions as well, let's add another CV item. Copying that wouldn't make sense. CV item has a title. What's the next item on my CV? That is down here. Technology transition in the front end of a search interface in the health sector. Title and description, which again is a combination of how long I was there and what I did. Close the, not the div, close the CV item. And in here we again have 2 paragraphs of text. 1 paragraph. Closing this, opening another paragraph. And closing this paragraph. already, we'll see one thing. First of all, it shows up beautifully, but the spacing is off, and the spacing between experience and this first one isn't right either, because everything that is on the top level of this container over here, that will have this space x10 applied to it, where really this header that says experience and the items, they are a unit. If I put all of you and this item up until here, go down 19 and close the div, then I won't have 40 pixels between you, which isn't great. Let's start fixing that. I have space between, so I have two spaces between here. I have experience, this whole block, which is a header and then a few items, and there is 20 pixels between that and the items, but there's also space between all of the items, which is 24. So there's slightly more space between the items than there is between a header and the first item. Meaning that all of these jobs, all of these items go into one container. The container here, class name, and I'm only using that to give it a space y of 24, which is 6 Tailwind units. And closing this here, close the div, and everything, this div that the header and the jobs are in now, that had a space y of 5. And look at this beautiful spacing that this will have in a second. That is what I want. I will add the last just to be complete. Then we'll do the public and the private and the writing. We will get to the icons later. I'm not sure if, we will get to the tags as well. Those I think are one of the more interesting parts of this. But for now we have a CV item here, which has a title and a description. And the description is this. That was bad. Description is this. And close the CV item. I'm losing time here. I'm running out of time. I have another 45 minutes. I can take it slower than this, which is cool. See, look at how fast this is going. This is great. Close the P, open a P, and close the P. Much of this, to be fair, much of what this looks like is the content. There wasn't too much Tailwind that we needed to add. Just a few classes, and then the components took care of the rest. Cool, that is everything. Well, apart from the tags. That's everything. Let's do those first. Let's add the public projects as well. They, again, very similar. I can use the exact same setup here, which means that my public projects, they go into another div. It's the same setup as, as with the experience. So space Y here is 20. And then I have items that go into here. I need to put those into a shared div. Title is, so I wanted to have a reference to my personal website on here first. And description, well, description isn't really right now because this is not a description, this is a URL, which I might want to treat differently. Let's see. But in here, I now need to put another paragraph with this text. Close U, add some space here, and close the div, and close this div. And W. Personal website, the icon is not on there yet. Let's add this other project as well. This I can type out. So we have another CV item with a title of Red Roulette and a description of redroulette.com, and close the CV item. Paragraph of text here. This won't look great on this small, what's up with that? This won't look great on this small breakpoint, but to show you that it would work, let's put you on the same line. Let's put you in columns. So we have a flex container for the items and space between them to be consistent with this space up here. To have the same column, I would have to go space X, and I think I went 16, right? Space X 16. Is it beautiful? No, it isn't, but that is fine. Now these, if I worked on just a PDF, it would be fine to keep it at that, but these need to be links. So I need to pass a URL, and this will be the full URL with the https://domhabazak.com, and down here as well, sorry, https://redroulette.com, which means we're also passing a URL to the CV item. If okay. Okay. If we pass a URL, so a URL will be optional. We can type that here with TypeScript. URL is an optional string. So is the, let's do that first actually. The icon is an optional. React, what was it? What was that? Open TSX to have that typed here. Was it typed? Was it React child? Was it? I'm not going to type it. I can already see happening that I am not going to type that. That doesn't have children. I forgot what this was. So you are an optional any until I fix you later. And the children, React node. Children are a React node. There we go. And icon is also React node. We'll see that later. And description we always need, which is a string, and title is a string. This is messy, so let's sort it alphabetically, meaning we first have children and description, icon, title, and URL. So we were at the description. If we have a URL which is optional, then this will be, otherwise it will be description. So if we have a URL, what we are going to print inside of this paragraph here is a URL with a href, the URL, and the description in here, and closing this a tag, add another line break and another line break here, and you. Now visually I don't expect anything to change, but we can now hover over this and it is linked. Ideally it would be the same color as all the other links on this, which will be blue, which would break with the styling. Now you can't tell that this is clickable, which is fair. I mean, this is referencing a CV. And the link color on my site is blue, and that would look out of place a bit. I don't think I can do that easily, so we're not going to worry about it. And one last one is the writing, which means another div class name of space y5, not 55, just 5 is enough, thank you. And in here, I don't need a nested here, but if I want to add more articles, I want to have that prepared. A CV item with a title of, what was the title of my writing, my article here? Creating a multi-author blog with Next.js. And description. I'm kind of misusing the term description here. I'm not super happy with the naming, but it is fine. I just want to get it done first. And then the URL will be almost the exact same as the description, but prefixed with an https:// and close the CV item. This has in it a paragraph of text, which is this text. and this text. Now, even though I don't have more articles yet, I will add the class name space y6 already. This will not do anything, but if I add it later, then it will. I forgot to close two divs here. Closing another div. There we go. Reload. Now the icons are missing. Content is fine, except for, okay, don't have the column over here yet. We'll do that later. I first want to add the icons to these. And let's start with the Smashing Magazine logo here. This is an icon that I have. I think I have a reference to it somewhere here. I will use the, don't look at this too closely. I will export this logo as an SVG. And then I'll take that as it was exported. I think almost as it was exported in the logos. And first I will run you through image optim to get rid of some of the things that Sketch adds when it exports. And then we are left with this. Where you at? Okay, then we are left with this. Show me word wrap. This is the Smashing Magazine logo. I don't want to change anything about that. I don't want to have it in that width and height though, but I will take the code as is. I will take the code as is, and I will move back into my thing, my CV item. So this would look super messy if I added it all on the same line. So let's break these properties up into separate lines. Where are you at? Here, and you as well. Now I can pass an icon. I could import it from somewhere, I could upload it somewhere and reference the file. Or, because this is the only instance I will need this, I think I can pass it just in here. Let's see if that works. I think if I pass an SVG as the property to this, and let's add more line breaks here. This will not do anything given how long this is anyways. But what happens when I do that? When I pass as the icon just the markup of the SVG. And did I break something? Or I think my editor is just confused about the properties now. This could work, or let's see what happens. Yeah, this could not work. I need to wrap you in square brackets, not square brackets, in curly brackets. Both here and here. I can't just pass it like that. Now we see that the highlighting is back as well, which is good. This is pink now, because we told the CV item component, if there is an icon, render a pink thing. And now instead, yeah, we can render the icon. I don't need to do that, but I will in a second. So if we have an icon, render the icon. Otherwise, render null objects are not valid as React child found object with keys. Okay, so let's go like this. If we have an icon, render the icon, otherwise render nothing. Ooh, moment of truth. There we have it. That is the Smashing Magazine logo, but it's too big. So if we have an icon, put it inside of a div. The sizing was right before, so H6 and W6. Render the icon in here and close the div. And curly brackets here and here. There. What does that do? Does that change anything? It kind of changes the width of this, but it doesn't change the sizing of the icon. Because this is set to a specific height and width here. This might break in Internet Explorer. And I can live with that. I am okay with it breaking in Internet Explorer. because if someone visits my page on Internet Explorer, they are not my target audience. And now we have that icon there. Let's repeat the same with my personal website and with Red Roulette. I could go the long way round and I could import the icon from somewhere else, or I could put it right there. If I only need it right there, I can do that. And I have that though in another file. Oh, I will have to open that off screen. I'll have to do that off screen. So while I'm doing that over here, you can try to read this SVG. Why are you not? Okay, this is getting too much for me, my little brave MacBook. No, everything froze. Perfect. Everything froze. So, okay, something. Anything? Please. I just wanted to... Maybe it was a bad idea. That was a very bad idea. That was a terrible idea. Okay, something happened. Something happened. While I do that over here, you can look at this code and see how this can be improved. Because I don't know if it can. But maybe there's something. Let me know in a second. I can't see the chat right now if there's anything happening. Rarely is, but just in case, hi. Loading. I need to get one of those Mac Studios. What I'm doing is I'm exporting the logo for... I had that here. Silly. No, I didn't. I'm exporting the logo for Red Roulette, which I have... Which I have somewhere else anyway. Anyways, I'll take it from where I have it here. The Red Roulette logo exported as an SVG. Just in black. Yeah. Sure. Okay, we can continue here. Exported it here. Optimize it to get rid of all the junk that Sketch adds when I export. Open with Visual Studio Code. And we're not going to do the other one, because this is not exciting. We want to look at the tags next, because if I have 30 more minutes, I can make the tags work. And this goes on this project here, Red Roulette. Do the thing where we split them up into separate lines. I think I can go back to the chat here so I see what's happening on Twitch. And add the icon in curly brackets. And there you go. Oh, that is a lot of SVG. Okay. Even breaking it up into separate lines, not gonna make a huge difference here. Yeah, no, okay. Maybe that was a bad call. Maybe putting the SVG right in here, not the best idea. But it works, because if we pass an icon just to this, it shows up just on this, not adding this one, because it will be the same process. And that is not fun to look at. So I wanted to add more of the things that I work on. And I wanted to give you in each project a rough idea of what it was that I worked on, and then what I used to do that. So on a CV item, I could now either, so what I'm talking about here. This can come back. I'm moving Sketch between machines again. Let's see if everything freezes a second time. Nope, that was fine. So we're looking at this now. We're looking at this row of tags. So here I give you a description of this is what I did. And then down here, if you just want to scan it quickly, I want to show you, and this is what I did it with. And that is a, let's say, CV tag. It's not exactly the same as over here, but it's very similar. So I have icon, text, and this one's just smaller, because this on the left I want to be a bit more attention grabbing, and this is completely secondary information that is not essential to the understanding, and those are smaller, but I will call them the same. Let's call those CV tags, and because they are repeated a bunch, that means we need to create a new component. Touch components CV tag TSX. on the CV TSX. And down here where I have, let's do just one of the projects. Let's do the first of the projects. And I could merge them into, I could make this a responsibility of the CV item. But I don't wanna, because the CV item also is this, also is this, also is this, and I don't think those need tags. So I might regret this in a bit, but I am going to start out by keeping them separate. So here I will have an aside, and I will have a bunch of CV tags. And what do I have for this first project? First project was TypeScript, React.js, GraphQL. Title is TypeScript React.js GraphQL. Start components yarn parcel. Start components yarn parcel. And is it an uppercase Y for yarn? Yes, it is. So yarn and Figma. This won't work yet because we're first of all not importing the CV tag. Import, it tells me it can't find the CV tag from -components CV tag. And then I will complain, hey, I don't know what to do with the CV tag, because that is not a valid component. Export default function CV tag. And that receives, for now, receives a title as its only property. And let's type it, the title is a string. And it returns, so I could return a button, but it doesn't do anything. I could return a link, but it doesn't lead anywhere. So this really is just a span. It's semantically empty. It's not really a paragraph, it's not a paragraph of text. So let's say span. And let's put the title in here and close this. And we have something here. Let's start styling it. And I have versions of this that don't have icons, because I don't know what icon to use for Scrum or for Design Sprint or for the concept of WebSockets. So this won't always have an icon. We met that pattern before, but we can style the text now. I have two components. I have a component that is conveniently called, okay, I called it skill here, but WebSocket isn't really a skill. I think tag, let's keep it a tag, tag is fine. And this is text XS, regular, and that is gray 600. So text gray 600. What? How about you go back to the terminal? How about this machine gets an upgrade soon? Okay, there we go. Now I forgot what the class names were. Class name text XS and text gray goes first. Try to sort those alphabetically. Text gray 600. So it won't be pink anymore. It will also have a background color. And that is rounded with 4 pixels. The background color is F3, F4, F6, which if we check it here is BG Gray 100. That is BG Gray 100. And I need to check what the border radius is. Border radius. Four pixels is rounded without any other qualifier. Rounded. And I also have some padding. So this has a distance to the side of It's 5 pixels at the top and 6 at the bottom. That's not right. That's not a Tailwind unit. So I am going to say this is 53 to 59. That is 6 pixels here. I'm not sure why I went 5 in the vertical. So let's do 6 all around. P 6 pixels is 1.5 Tailwind units. Okay, and there's also some space between them. This won't be ideal. So space between you. Each of these in this group has space between them of 6 as well. Okay, so space, that needs to go on the aside here. Class name, space x of 1.5. Oh. Okay. Okay. That's awesome. My dog just woke up and he doesn't know if he wants to stay out. Okay, he wants to leave. Sorry, and we're back. Where was I? There seems to be some space between these now, so between the item itself and these tags here. I could put it on either of them, but as you know now, I am a huge fan of the space classes. Space between the item and the tags is 8. So that means this div that I put everything in, go here. This div that I put everything in is class name space y of 8 pixels is 2 units. And there we go with this. Now, this without the icons really doesn't work so well. It could be a lot more interesting. So I think adding these all as SVGs in here, it would be pretty messy. So instead, I am going to give you an icon URL, which means I have to maintain that somewhere else. That's fine. So the icon URL for this will be TypeScript SVG. So I am exporting from my sketch. Where's TypeScript? There's TypeScript. Export you as an SVG. To the desktop, sure. So we have logos TypeScript, open you in ImageOptim to get rid of some of the junk. And I also want to add it, adjust it manually to get rid of the fixed width and height. The height and the width here. And this file I now need to add to my public directory. I have feature projects, fonts, logos. What's in logos? I might put it there. I think that's great. I think that is ideal. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I have logos in here already. If I go slash logos slash TypeScript, and do I have that for others as well? Icon URL. Did I see React? React.js.svg. So going logos, React.js.svg. GraphQL I don't have. Yarn Figma I might. Do I have Figma on here? Yeah, as Figma SVG. Icon URL is slash logos slash Figma, not URL, SVG. The CV tag does not know about the icon URL yet. You need to know about the icon URL. Icon URL is a string. Again, if there is, oh, now we need to change some things around here. If there is an icon URL, then do something. Otherwise, just don't. Just don't. And if there is an icon URL, we are going to go image, source, and use the icon URL in here. What does that give us? Does that look terrible? Yes, it will. Yeah, I mean, it's now pretty obvious what I worked with, but that's not what I was going for. So I now need to have the icon and the text next to each other, which in my mind immediately means flex container. I don't want to make the span a flex container. I will put these two inside of a div. And I'm going to put the title in a span. And I think it'd be fair to it doesn't really make a difference, but I can put the text gray 600 and text XS on the span that holds the text now. I removed one D too many, rounded. And I wanted to add flex to you, so flex. I also need the icon to be quite a bit smaller. Not randomly small. Oh, now it is the default size that the icon has. Can I give you a class name of... Oh, what is it for the small ones? It could be 24 again, or I think I went smaller for those. And here we have, yeah, 18. Oh, 18 divided by 4. Do I have 4.5 as a height in Tailwind? Height. So I have 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. There is no 4.5. So either I go larger or smaller. I either go to 16 pixels or to 20 pixels. Let's try the smaller one. H4 and W4. And reload this. That's tiny. That's tiny. Oh, and because this is now a flex container, flex by default takes up the entire available width. Instead, I want you to be inline flex. And I also want to have some space between them. What is that space? 4 again, nice and consistent. RS space X of 1 unit. Now, what's up with this? Why is this now... Why are the ones that don't have icons? Oh, okay. Okay. What? Why? The ones that don't have icons are a bit... I'm gonna have to make them red. Let's make them red because that it's barely visible in the light gray that it is. The ones that don't have an icon, they are down here. Why are you down here? Is there a margin on them? Does it not like... Where'd that come from? Because there is no margin on them. There is a margin left on them, which is okay. So I can. That is odd. Let's take the aside. And let's make that painfully, color that painfully. So, no, that is not helpful. How about yellow? Is that better? Probably won't be better. No, but we kind of get the idea. Now, if I made you a flex container, now we are at the point where we start throwing flex at stuff. Then it fixes it. I'm okay with it being fixed. Let's keep that. The size of the icons is a bit too small. The 4 doesn't really work so well. It's barely visible. Let's go 20. That is not great. That isn't great, because where's the padding gone now? If we zoom in... No, not on you. How about we zoom in here? Yeah, that is better. Where is the padding of 6 pixels gone? Why would that not work on So undo. I don't think this needs to be a flex container. But then for some reason this happens. I can't render something else if I don't have an icon URL, because if I do, if I render an empty div, then this space class is going to do something. Yeah, no, that is what? Okay. Realistically, those will always be the same height. Might not be 28, it probably might be 28. I could fix this entire thing to a specific height. If we go age 20, then it's ridiculous, I know. Then each tag would have a height of 20 always. But that doesn't change that these are set down here. Is it about the span? Is that messing with things? Inline block. No. Block. Is it something about the span? What is happening? Okay. Taking a step back. Do I need this to be inline flex? Can it be flex? If it's flex, it is terrible. Does it matter if the container it is in is flex? That is better. I'm still missing. Is that the spacing? Is that the... Oh, that is the spacing on the side. Okay. So if I don't give you a height, and you are in a flex container, apparently that is necessary. Okay. But if I give this a background color here, BG yellow 300, then we see the text isn't aligned with the icon. It is up here, so this flex thing also needs to have item center. I think my brain's slowing down now. This has been plenty. And removing that yellow again. And gray, no, 500 was off. It was gray 100. I can feel myself getting slower and slower. Is this ideal? Well, the yellow we can get rid of. It's not a problem yet. It is not a problem yet, but it will be a problem. Actually, for that, I need to keep the yellow. And need to keep the flex. It is not a problem yet. Let's zoom out again. But if this was on a smaller display, what happens when we... okay, it's Safari being odd again. For one, okay, we see a few things. We see that each time... that is not ideal. That is not... So, it's okay. If there is less space than necessary, they all get squished together unless we tell the flex container it's okay for things to wrap. So, is that still called flex wrap? Or is that called wrap now also? They might have removed the flex prefix from everything. Nope. That was it. But that isn't great for a few reasons. That isn't great because what this space class does, the space x 1.5, it adds a margin left to every element but the first one. Yeah. So this TypeScript tag here, this CV tag, that doesn't get a margin left, but this React.js does, GraphQL does, Start Components does, and if we inspect it, we can see that that is true. If we go out of that mode, we get a, if we hover over here, no. How's it do space? It's difficult to see on the yellow. Let's go blue. Let's go blue. And we see, okay, yeah, it was orange on orange. We see between TypeScript and React.js there is now this margin, because this container gets a margin left of 6. There is gap, and there is flex gap. Let's see if gap is better. If I want to have a gap of 6 pixels, that would be gap 1.5. I don't know if that works in flex containers by now. Might not. It does, and it is beautiful. This took care of 2 things. Fantastic. So the items no longer have, if it works, this is great. The items no longer have the margin left on it. React.js doesn't have a margin left on it. And that means that Figma is now left aligned with the TypeScript over here. And we also have a gap on the vertical. I could set them independently. I could say gap X is 1.5 and gap Y is 5. That means going down, it's just a bit more. This is 20 pixels now. But because I want that to be the same around the tags, I can go gap 1.5, which is gap X 1.5 and gap Y 1.5. That is very neat, because that is much easier than I imagined this would be. I thought this would take me quite a bit longer. And here we go, remove the blue. I know with this setup how I could add more items to it. I could add, if I had them in my public directory, add GraphQL style components. It doesn't even need to be SVG files. I could link it to JPEGs as well. So if we said the icon URL for style components was dom dot, I think I'm a JPEG, then my face would be the icon for style components. So not adding that now, I can do that later, but I want to add more tags to more things so it looks like more. If we go down, what's the time? Okay. Then I think I will add tags to the other ones, add icons where I can. And then I'm happy with where this is at. I still have this section on the bottom left down here. And then the horizontal, no, not the horizontal, the responsive layout, the vertical layout that I will do later. Will I do that later? I might do that later. For now, I will go to this next CV item here. Put you in a div. I forgot what the styles for that were. But we'll first add the aside here. And what did I work on for... Close the div here. No, that was right. What did I work on for the second... Work with for the second project? My trusty sketch over here. I worked with JavaScript, React.js, Redux. So with JavaScript, and I have the icon for this already. JavaScript, React.js, and what was it? Redux, style components as well. Style components, Webpack, Scrum, and Design Sprint. Webpack, Scrum, and Design Sprint. Was that right? Webpack, Scrum, Design Sprint. And let's do that for the last project as well. Oh, but before I do, I have to check what the styles on this were. Space Y5. So the spacing is even. Class name is space Y5. Copy you. You go down here. Class name is space y5. So I have 20 pixels between them. I could use gap now, even. I'm not going to, but I could easily replace that. What did I work on for this last one? Jira, Sketch, JavaScript. So let's do CV tag. Title is Jira. Don't have an icon for that. Not yet, at least. Title is Sketch, and the icon URL is /logos/sketch svg. JavaScript and React Native, which is the same icon, I think, as React, so we can go /logos React.js.svg. Also worked with Redux here and with WebSockets. Redux and with I think socket is the protocol. What does that give us? Nothing for Jira, Sketch, JavaScript, React.js, React Native. Did I forget one? No, that looks good. Okay, so in just a little over 90 minutes, we went from nothing. Need to fix that over here. Let's do the header real quick. Where's the header here? I want to have some space between those two. You and you, there's 18 pixels, which is wrong. Because we don't have 18, we learned now a few times. And space Y, let's go 4, let's go 16. For the icons, I could do the very same thing as I did for these. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day here. This is not have another component for the heading, I think. Import h1 from components h1. I think I'm not using pros for that. Here and here. Yeah, tiny difference. Okay, so I think I can even commit this almost as is. I could publish this, like I will replace the text, the icons up here. I can add more icons to my public directory and have them show up here even as PNGs. But I am not going to push that live yet, because this will look terrible on a mobile screen. Okay, Safari is being weird again. But on a small display, I need these to move around a little. Let's continue that on Thursday, I'd say. This is not urgent. I will add a few more of the icons in the meantime. And then next time we can add the skills that go down here in my document. You see, this is what I wanted to get to. This is what I wanted to get to. I have a few elements missing. But overall, I am incredibly close to what I had. Let's see if we can move those, put those side by side. You and Sketch. And then remove the, wait, here. Center you. That is very close. It's the wrong face. I will replace the face soon. This is this block. We have the 4 sections: profile, experience, public projects, and writing. We have it styled exactly as it was over here. This is beautiful. I will adjust this. Let's next time on Thursday, 10 AM Central European now Standard Time. We're in summertime. We'll continue this to work on mobile on the next session, and then we can also worry about like how do we keep a large version of these tags as well. This one is a bit larger, has different text size and icon size than this one. We'll do that on Thursday. Thank you very much for watching, for following along. This was stressful, but I hope I slowed down enough towards the end where you could follow along. When I'm done, eventually the code will be up on GitHub. My entire portfolio is live on github.com/damhabersack. GitHub, and you can get to it from the footer. Get to it from down here and check out domhabersack.com, the repository. It's pinned even. You can find the entire code in pages and CV then from there. With that, I would appreciate a follow, of course, if you want to be notified of when I go live with this again. And I will upload the video to YouTube soon, probably the day after tomorrow. I have a backlog of things I haven't published yet. Thank you again. Thank you very much. That was fun. And I will talk to you soon. Take care and bye-bye.